Hello, Duke University, Doctor of Ministry cohort. My name is Kristen. I'm here today to be your guide through Tom Fay's Unconditional Faith Mandate video. Let me start out by introducing you to Tom's new book, which is his entry into this ministry. This book is entitled, Let the Children Come, the Story of George Muller. Most of you probably have heard of George Muller, but Tom's book takes place in about 5 years from now, after a financial and pandemic crisis creates thousands of orphans. Let's watch the book trailer.
It seems every century has a man or woman that God uses in extraordinary ways because they put their faith completely in Jesus Christ. Tom Fay has written a book about such a man and tells this true story in a captivating way. This man loved the disadvantaged children, and he built orphanages to house, feed, clothe, and educate about 3,000 orphans. All this was accomplished by faith. It's the story of a man who made an arrangement with God, whereby he would take care of the children God sent to him. But God would have to supply all the financial needs. Consequently, this man would never ask anyone for money or go into debt. His name was George Muller. Jesus caught him and taught him about faith and how to move mountains. Tom Fay has put George Muller's life in the year 2025 with all the examples of faith that actually happened in the 1800s. God answers prayer the same way today. If the cupboards were bare, it just meant more prayer. God was hearing the prayers and being pleased with the faith of George Muller. Not one day did the children go without food. We have the same God today. He hasn't changed.
Wow, Tom, this is going to be such a great book to read. This would be a hit movie also. But before I turn to Tom, I want to introduce you to Dennis Masawe, who is Tom's partner in this faith ministry and in charge of the music at the rallies. Dennis, introduce us to your talent in music.
To God be the glory. To God be the glory. To God for the things he has done. Well, those were the words of the song To God Be the Glory by Andrew Crouch. And those were the words that Tom heard me sing. And we'll tell you more about where we met and how we met. But right now I'd like to just sing a bar from one of my songs and just expresses the greatness of God. You are everything, Lord, you created. You are everything. I bow in reverence, Lord. Because he's our Lord, he's also our friend, and it's good to always run back to our friend and have faith. Amen. Because the just shall live by faith, and that's our God, our friend. Who am I? Who am I? You are mindful of me, that you hear me when I call. Is it true? Is it true that you are thinking of me? my Lord, that you love me. It's amazing. I am a friend of God. Yeah, I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. He calls me friend. That's a song by Israel Heaton.
Thank you, Dennis. Your music is touching and meaningful. Next, Tom would like to discuss more about faith and would like you to see a little video animation about the definition of faith and what the Bible means when it says, "The just shall live by faith." Now watch this.
Have you ever been asked, what is faith? Or, how can I have the faith of the centurion, as in Matthew 8? Here is my definition. Faith is the trust in God, which becomes a paradox when our actions deny and defy the logical and rational paradigm of social convention. But this very synergy of belief and action is normal in the kingdom of heaven, where when combined, God intercedes in our world and the miraculous occurs. Let's break this down. First, a paradox means a situation exhibiting an apparently contradictory nature. Second, that paradox is exhibited when our actions deny and defy the logical or rational. For example, Abraham sacrificing his son, or Peter walking on the water to Jesus in the storm until he becomes logical. Third, synergy is when two things are combined and produce a total effect that is greater than the sum. The two are trust in God and actions that deny and defy. The Bible calls the illogical actions that works. The works are not good deeds. For example, if you want to become a leader, you must be a servant. The first shall be last. When I am weak, I am strong.
The next part of the presentation is the one I'm looking forward to the most. Tom and Dennis are going to talk about how they met. It is a really interesting story. And they're also going to discuss how they see their ministry developing.
Thank you, Kristen. Dennis,
Yes.
thank you for that music. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
And I'd like to tell the cohort group about how we met.
Oh, yes.
And you had sang that song, "To God Be the Glory," as part of a testimony for your graduation from the Southern California Seminary.
Correct.
And this was a school that I helped to found back about 50 years ago.
Yes.
And after I heard you sing and give your testimony that you were from Tanzania, grew up very poor, and that you were essentially living by faith and trusting God for your whole life.
Exactly.
Afterward, after the banquet, I went up to you, and if you recall, I gave you a $100 bill. And I was amazed, surprised. You put your arm around me and said, "Could I pray for you?"
Yes.
And I said, "Yes, by all means, I need it." And so you left, and later on that evening, I thought, why was I so cheap with just $100? I should have given you far more than that because you're living by faith. So I went to find you, and I couldn't find you. I looked, and you had left already, and I called the school, and later on I tried on several occasions to get a hold of you, but I could not until just recently.
Yes.
And we both felt that God had brought us together for this ministry of faith.
Yes. Amen. That's true.
Now, you've had some of the experiences of miraculous experiences similar to what George Mueller has had, right?
Yes.
You told me the story about your 7 fish. Can you tell the cohort about that? Keep it shorter than what you told me. But
exactly.
what happened?
It was a long story. But In brief, we were going through a transition as far as my wife and I are concerned economically, as far as business. We are self-employed, just ministry full-time, trying to make ends meet. And at that time, we lost pretty much a whole lot of our support base. And therefore, we were at a point on that particular weekend where there was nothing to eat, there was nothing in the fridge, and it's always like, okay, when are we going to get the next door to open? And then I used to go to this mountain where I used to go pray every morning. And that morning I went up to the mountain early morning around 6, and we live in California here, so that 6, it was a little misty. And I was there. That particular day I wasn't able to pray. Mm-hmm. I just had this feeling that God, wouldn't it be nice to have, just like the Israelites, the manna? They just woke up and they found manna. And I said, oh, let it be according to your will. And then I closed my Bible and I just went down the hill. As I went down the hill, I got to a place and I felt, just look to the right side. And I looked at the right side and I saw something shining and all that. It was a lot of grass and moist ground. And I walked by there and I found just a stack of fish. And come to find out, they were not cheap fish either. They were sea bass with ice sprinkled on top of it. And now, also being a logical person, I really, really thought, what is going on? And long story short, I really had a start in my still conscious voice that, what were you asking for up the hill? And that was my aha moment, like, oh my goodness, this is God's provision.
You ask for manna from heaven. He gives it to you in the form of fish.
Yes, and mark you, I don't live near the ocean. We have a lake, but that was sea bass. And who would just go fishing that kind of fish and just dispose it? And dispose it in a nice way and put ice on top. And very early in the morning.
Yes.
That was God's provision.
Yeah.
And I didn't name it miracle fish. It's my kids and my brother-in-law's kids who were there. They said, oh, this is miracle fish. And that's how we coined the name, the miracle fish.
Okay, that's great. And I'm sure that's just one of many testimonies of faith that you've experienced. Plenty. And same with me. Mm-hmm. And same with George Mueller. Time after time after time, he experienced this miraculous faith. And this is one of the things that we want to share with the churches, singing from the heart, your songs, other worship songs, and teaching about faith and how that actually works.
Tom, thank you for sharing this with us. I know I look forward to seeing God work as a result of faith. Can't wait to read the book and see the movie too about George Mueller. I have a question though for the Duke cohort and Dean Jones. It is this. Would you be willing to invite Tom and Dennis to your church to preach and sing? Would you join them in trusting God to make a difference in your congregation? Thanks so much for being a great audience, and it would be an honor to meet you all soon. Goodbye.